Joy is an indicator of how much faith we're in. That's why we need to count it all joy, because if we aren't in joy, we aren't in faith. That's why it's imperative that we count it all joy. Because if we aren't in joy, we aren't in faith. And if we aren't in faith, victory is not assured. Let me say that again. If we aren't in joy, then we aren't in faith. And if we aren't in faith, then victory is not assured. Right? God has already done everything to provide us with victory, hasn't he? What's our part? Believing. Faith, right? How does faith come? Faith comes by hearing. Faith comes by doing what you're doing right now. Faith can grow. We got to be in faith. What else does the Bible say about joy? Joy is, the joy of the Lord is our strength. So what that tells me that the opposite is true. If I'm not in joy, I don't have strength. I'm actually in weakness. So the joy of the Lord is my strength. So that means if I'm not building myself up in the joy of the Lord, then no matter how I might feel, if I feel strong, I'm actually not strong. I'm actually weak. Because I'm not digging in and believing for the strength that comes from his joy. Does that make sense? Maybe you're in here today and you're like, man, I am struggling with joy. Has anybody ever been in a place where you're struggling with joy? Maybe you're doing that right now, struggling with joy. Maybe things have happened. Here's a good exercise. Get a piece of paper and just start writing all the things that you're thankful for. You want to quickly build up your joy? Just start writing a gratitude list. Start writing it. It takes 5 minutes, right? Just start writing down all the things that God has done for you. He saved me from that day. He helped me and healed me from that illness. I have a great house. I have a loving family. All my kids are healthy. Whatever it is, right? Just start writing down a list of things you're thankful for. And all of a sudden, you're going to be like, wow, I'm thankful for a lot. And that'll start to produce joy in your life. Why? Because thanksgiving and gratitude is actually a form of worship. And when you start to worship God more, you'll start to breathe in spiritually his joy. Yeah. Right? In fact, it's really easy, like in the church, it's really easy to tell, like since this is a pastoral book, it's really easy to tell as a pastor who's out the door of a church. If they lose their joy and they lose their generosity, they're on their way out. I'd go another step further. If people lose their joy and they lose their generosity, almost all the time I've seen where they don't make it. Guess what? I want you guys to make it. Through every single battle, through every single test, through every single trial, through every single temptation, I want you guys not just to endure it I want you guys to run through it. Amen? That's what I want for you guys. Okay, so I promised I would read out of the RIV, so I'm going to do that because there's so much in this. I'm just going to read verse 2. So this is just verse 2, and I actually put it on the screen for you guys so you guys could read it here. So this is just verse 2, which is, my brethren, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations. So the RIV says, my dearest brothers and fellow comrades, I urge you right now to make a predetermined decision. Not one left to chance, emotions or circumstances, that in absolutely everything you face in life, you are going to have joy. I love that phrasing, make a predetermined decision. I think that's crucial. Because if you're trying to decide whether you should be in joy when you're already in the middle of the trial, you're losing already at that point. Does that make sense? So we should all make this part of our morning routine. I'm making a predetermined decision that no matter what happens today, I'm maintaining my joy. Seriously, this should be part of our morning routine. Just take a minute or two and just meditate on that. I am not losing my joy today, no matter what happens. I'm counting it all joy. All joy, no matter what. What was I here? Not to have joy. There we go. I'm even talking about times when you find yourself taken off guard. Anybody ever felt taken off guard before, right? Taken off guard, falling into and being completely surrounded by all kinds of difficulties, problems, and situations that have been set to entrap you, to trip you up, to make you stumble and produce destruction in your life. Wow. So what are all these trials, tests, and temptations? What are they used for by the enemy? To bring destruction to your life. And that's why it becomes even more important to make a predetermined decision, right? That I'm going to count it all joy because the joy of the Lord is my strength. And as long as I'm in joy, I'm going to be in faith. And when I'm in faith, that means my shield is up, right? And the destruction that he wants to ensue on my life, he being the enemy, will not happen. One more thing, and then I'll get to my second point here. The word joy in the Greek is the word chara, C-H-A-R-A. For those of you who know what the Greek word for grace is, it's charis. So it's actually derivative of the word charis. It's a derivative of the word grace. So what's James saying here? That this is not a human-based happiness. It's actually a supernatural joy that is grace produced by God himself. So it's not you trying to drum up your own joy. It's about you experience his supernatural joy in your life. We could say like this: it's a supernatural joy that must be intentionally used by us. Just because it's available doesn't mean we're going to experience it. We must intentionally go after it. We must intentionally experience it. But guess what? When we choose to say, I don't care what your feelings are telling you. If you say, no, God, I'm being in joy right now, guess what? That choice to do it, even though you, in and of yourself, you can't produce joy, that's when the supernatural joy of God will come upon you. He will meet you right where you're at if you just reach out your hand in faith. Then his hand of grace will pick you up. Amen. Does that make anybody feel better? That it's not your joy that needs, it's about opening the door to his joy in your life.